The deputy said the girl looked like she'd been running for miles before she collapsed in the ditch. Her wrists were raw, red rings circling the skin where the cuffs had cut in. When the first cruiser pulled up on County Road 17, the headlights caught her in a cone of white dust. Barefoot, trembling, wearing nothing but a torn t-shirt and jeans soaked through with blood that wasn't all hers. It was 2:17 a.m. on a Thursday in late July, somewhere between Kansas and Missouri, the kind of forgotten stretch of interstate where no one drives unless they have somewhere desperate to be. When the deputies tried to talk to her, she didn't answer at first. Just kept saying one word, over and over, voice hoarse like gravel in a tin cup. Truck. The officers followed the faint tracks in the dirt until they vanished into the weeds near a rusted farm gate. No truck, no driver, only the smell of burned oil, something metallic in the air, and a single black zip tie lying near the road's edge. By morning, the story was already spreading through the county. A girl was found handcuffed on the back road. Said she jumped from a moving vehicle. Said the man who took her wasn't done yet. But by the time the FBI arrived 2 days later, that girl was gone. Her name was Samantha Raines, 19 years old, last seen leaving a diner outside Oklahoma City the week before. The waitress remembered her. Small frame, kind smile, backpack slung over one shoulder. Said she was hitching a ride north to see a friend in St. Joseph. Said a man in a black pickup offered to take her most of the way. He paid cash for his coffee. Never gave his name. That was 1997. The case file that would later be known internally as the Interstate 47 abductions began here, with Samantha's bloodied jeans folded neatly in an evidence bag, and no one able to explain how she disappeared from the hospital less than 36 hours after being rescued. Nurses told the same story. She'd been awake, shaken, but lucid. Around 10 p.m., a man in maintenance coveralls came through the ER wing asking for directions to the loading dock. No one saw his face clearly. A few minutes later, Samantha's bed was empty, IV line hanging, window cracked open. Security footage showed nothing but static. By dawn, the local police realized they were in over their heads. Within a week, 2 more reports came in, both along the same corridor, within 100 miles of each other. A rest stop attendant in Arkansas found a set of broken handcuffs in a trash bin. A trucker near Joplin reported seeing a young woman running across the median before disappearing into the dark. Each time, by the time law enforcement arrived, there was nothing left but tire marks and dust. It wasn't until September that the FBI's Behavioral Analysis Unit connected the pattern. A special agent named Daniel Hartley, a quiet, methodical man with a background in logistics, noticed that the victims, 3 confirmed, 5 suspected, were all last seen near interstate junctions where long-haul routes converged. The attacker seemed to know the highways intimately, timing his abductions between way stations and rest areas that lacked surveillance. Hartley called him the corridor ghost. What unsettled investigators most wasn't just the abductions themselves, but how efficiently he moved. Each survivor, there were 2, both found days apart, described the same details. A black truck with mismatched doors, the faint smell of bleach, country radio playing low, always static between stations. And the man, he wore gloves, always gloves. Spoke little, asked them their names like it mattered, then told them to forget it. One woman recalled the way he said, "Kansas City," like it was a prayer. Another remembered a patch on his jacket, a faded emblem shaped like a shield, maybe military, maybe something else. None of them saw his face clearly. By the winter of 1998, the task force had mapped at least 12 abductions stretching from Texas to Indiana. The victims shared few similarities. Ages ranged from 17 to 34, some travelers, some locals, but every single one was taken within 5 miles of an interstate. The killings weren't clean, but they were organized. Bodies were found weeks later, always near bridges or overpasses, always within sight of the highway. No fingerprints, no DNA beyond trace fibers, polyester blends common in truck interiors. The press called him the Interstate Killer. For a while, America barely noticed. It was the era of early cable news, and most stories like this faded after a single night's coverage. But then came the video. A local farmer outside Lebanon, Missouri, discovered a discarded VHS tape in a field after a storm. He turned it over to deputies, thinking it might be trash from a traveler. What they saw made hardened detectives leave the room. The footage showed the inside of a trailer cab. The camera, maybe mounted on the dash, faced the passenger seat. The angle caught a young woman, terrified, handcuffed, pleading. The driver's hands appeared only once, large, gloved, adjusting the focus. No face, no voice, only the hum of the road beneath the tires. The FBI confirmed the woman matched the description of one of the missing, Jessica Lee, 26, last seen at a gas station outside Wichita 3 weeks earlier. The tape ended with static. By 2001, the Bureau had opened a classified interagency file, citing the case's potential linkage to cross-state logistics operations. Translation: they thought the killer might be connected to a network of independent truckers, contractors, or distribution workers who used the interstate system as cover. Agent Hartley pushed for a full federal task force, but the attacks slowed. After 2003, no confirmed abductions matched the signature. Until one night in 2009, when a highway patrol officer outside Topeka found an abandoned rig with the engine still running. Inside, the cab reeked of gasoline and rust. A single Polaroid was taped to the dashboard. A woman's face, mouth gagged, eyes open. On the back, in black marker, it read, "You missed one." Hartley came out of retirement for that photo. He was older then, slower, haunted by the case that had never been solved. The Bureau reopened the files quietly, renaming it Project Nighthall. They combed through decades of trucking manifests, gas receipts, shipping company employee rosters. Nothing. Whoever he was, he'd been a ghost among ghosts. But there was something else, something they'd overlooked. A detail buried in one of the earliest reports. When Samantha Raines was found on that dirt road back in '97, the paramedics noted faint letters burned into her left wrist beneath the skin. 3 letters. I-47. At the time, no one knew what it meant. But now, looking back through hundreds of miles of highway data, Hartley realized something chilling. There was no Interstate 47 in the United States, not officially. But there had been a proposed route once, mapped in the 1950s. Never completed. Its projected path, from Baton Rouge up through the Midwest, cutting through every single county where the bodies had been found. Hartley stared at the map for hours that night, tracing the phantom highway line across the country. A road that never existed, yet somehow claimed lives along its invisible edge. If the killer had named himself after that, if I-47 was his mark, it meant one thing. He saw himself not as a man, but as the road itself. The Bureau classified that revelation immediately, sealing the files under restricted status. To this day, the official record lists the Interstate killer as unknown. But deep inside the FBI's archives, in the section reserved for ongoing domestic serial investigations, the folder still bears a single handwritten label, faded in black ink. Interstate 47, active. When the Bureau reopened Project Nighthall in 2009, it was quietly folded into the larger Violent Criminal Apprehension Program, VICAP for short. Fewer than a dozen agents knew the case even existed. What made it so unnerving wasn't only the brutality, it was the way the killer's footprint kept vanishing into the machinery of American logistics. Every time they thought they had a lead, it dissolved somewhere between way station logs and missing manifests. Agent Daniel Hartley, back in a temporary consulting role, moved into a motel off the Beltway in Jefferson City. His office was a corkboard, a few boxes of evidence, and a stack of maps spread across the bed. On the wall, he pinned Polaroids of truck stops, county routes, and fuel receipts pulled from old evidence. He began to trace the killings not by victim, but by rest area proximity. The pattern that emerged was grimly mathematical. The killer struck roughly every 280 miles, as if following an invisible schedule between refueling points. The numbers matched long-haul hauls on a route that no longer existed. Interstate 47, the Phantom Corridor. That autumn, an anonymous envelope arrived at the Jefferson City field office. No return address, no postmark other than a smeared Kansas City sorting stamp. Inside was a motel keycard and a note typed on a Smith Corona ribbon. Room 19. Ask the mirror. Agents swept the motel listed on the keycard, a half-abandoned roadside place called the Traveler's Rest, 20 miles west of Springfield. Room 19 was stripped bare, except for a cracked wall mirror leaning against the dresser. Behind it, crime scene techs found a hollow in the drywall filled with old negatives, neatly labeled by date, 1997 through 2001. Each image captured the same two things: the reflection of a woman's terrified face and the outline of a man behind the camera wearing mirrored sunglasses. The FBI's Media Forensics Unit digitized the negatives, adjusting the exposure curve. In one reflection, they caught something that froze them: a decal on the mirror's edge, reading Port Arcadia Logistics. Hartley had never heard of it. A quick records pull showed the company incorporated in 1989 in Baton Rouge, dissolved in 2003 after a fatal warehouse fire. Cross-referencing the address led them to a concrete lot fenced with barbed wire. Inside, rows of derelict rigs, stripped for parts. Among them, an old Freightliner cab painted black, its VN plate scorched, but still legible. The same model described by every surviving victim. They dusted it for prints. Nothing. But tucked inside the glove compartment, wrapped in plastic, was a photograph. Grainy, half-burned, showing a young woman tied to a chair beside a wall map marked with a single bold line: I-47. Reporters never learned about the photo. The Bureau feared another wave of panic. They had reason, because within weeks of that discovery, new disappearances began again. October 2009, a waitress named Carla Monroe, 22, vanished after her night shift near Lebanon. December 2009, Tanya Green, 28, missing from a fuel stop outside Tulsa. Both were found in early 2010, dumped along service roads, showing identical ligature marks and small, deliberate burns in the shape of letters, I-47, on the wrist. The killer was back, or someone carrying his legacy. Hartley met with the new lead agent, Special Agent Marissa Quinn, a sharp-eyed profiler barely half his age. She believed the pattern pointed to a second-generation offender, someone apprenticed or inspired. But Hartley couldn't shake the idea that it was the same man, older, slower, resurfacing after years underground. They drove to each new crime scene, filming the drive for later analysis. The footage showed something odd. At almost every location, the nearest exit ramp led to an abandoned or decommissioned rest area. One's closed after the DOT's 1996 budget cuts. The killer had mapped America's forgotten spaces. That winter, Missouri's snow came early. Quinn stood beside the taped-off ditch where Tanya Green's body had been found and asked Hartley a question that stuck with him. Do you think he's following the ghosts of a road that never got built? Or making one up as he goes? Hartley didn't answer. In February 2010, a state trooper pulled over a semi with expired plates near Sedalia. The driver, a middle-aged man named Wayne Keller, worked for a regional freight outfit that subcontracted former Port Arcadia routes. Nothing seemed unusual until the trooper opened the trailer. Inside were half-disassembled CB radios, bundles of plastic restraints, and dozens of paper maps with routes circled in red ink. Keller was taken into custody. During interrogation, he insisted the equipment wasn't his. Said he bought the trailer at auction from a retired hauler named Frank. No last name. When pressed, he muttered, "He's still out there, you know." Said the road keeps him alive. The FBI searched for any Port Arcadia employee named Frank. They found 15, all accounted for, except one. Franklin Dale Rowe, former fleet mechanic, terminated 1998 after a harassment complaint. His file listed a home address in southern Arkansas. The house was gone, condemned years earlier, but neighbors remembered him. A quiet man, fixed trucks for cash, never married, lived out of a camper behind the property after the house burned down. They also remembered the noise of engines late at night. March 2010. Agents found Rowe's camper deep in the woods off a disused service road. It was empty. No signs of struggle. Just the smell of bleach and motor oil. On the table lay a road atlas with every confirmed abduction marked in pen. Across the center, scrawled in bold red marker, "Mile 0 begins where she fell." Hartley knew what that meant. County Road 17, the place Samantha Raines had been found handcuffed 13 years earlier. They combed that stretch of road for 2 days. On the third morning, as the fog lifted, a deputy found tire impressions leading into a ravine half a mile south. At the bottom lay the rusted skeleton of another truck cab, submerged in mud, its VIN filed off. Inside, beneath the seat, they found a small tin box. It contained 8 Polaroids. 7 showed victims they recognized. The 8th showed a hospital bed, white sheets, a cracked window, an empty IV line swinging. Written on the back, "She was never yours to save. Samantha Raines, the first girl, the one who vanished from the hospital. Forensics dated the Polaroids no later than 1998, meaning if Rowe had taken them, he'd been alive then. But what about now? His name never appeared in any employment, tax, or arrest database after 1999. That spring, a skeletal body was recovered from a flooded quarry 10 miles from Rowe's old lot. Dental records were inconclusive, but the height, age, and healed wrist fracture matched him. Case closed, unofficially. But Hartley refused to file it away. He believed someone had taken over the identity, the ritual, maybe even the truck. A successor using Rowe's legend as camouflage. Because 2 months after the body's discovery, a woman named Linda Carver staggered out of a cornfield in Illinois, wrists bleeding, whispering a single word before collapsing. Truck. 13 years, almost to the day, after Samantha. The Bureau classified the resurgence as a probable copycat event. Hartley called it denial. He spent his nights replaying the old VHS tape, frame by frame, convinced the road's mile markers visible through the window would reveal where it was filmed. He finally froze on one frame, a sign blurred but legible under enhancement. Exit 47B. An exit that officially didn't exist. Checking DOT archives, he discovered the sign number had been assigned during construction of a never-finished interchange near the Missouri-Arkansas border, part of that same proposed I-47 route. When he and Quinn visited the site, the exit was sealed off by concrete barriers and weeds taller than a man. But beneath the overpass, they found tire ruts fresh in the dirt, oil drips still glistening. Someone had been there recently. They set up surveillance cameras disguised as construction equipment. For 3 nights, nothing moved but stray dogs. On the 4th, a truck appeared. Black cab, mismatched doors, headlights off. It idled for 5 minutes, then vanished down the embankment. The footage was grainy, but Quinn caught one frame where the brake lights illuminated a bumper sticker, Port Arcadia Lives. The next morning, they followed the tracks into the woods. Half a mile in, the smell hit them. Sweet, chemical, unmistakable. At the base of a tree stood a new grave. Soil turned, marker carved crudely into bark. M47. 10. When the coroner exhumed it, they found the body of Linda Carver. The case was no longer cold. Within weeks, the Bureau launched Operation Dead Mile, deploying unmarked trucks along major interstates, tracking CB chatter for references to the 47. Most truckers claimed it was a myth, a ghost route for haulers who never stopped. Yet in late 2010, one CB recording caught a faint voice between static. "Mile 280, she's ready." The signal pinged off towers along a closed frontage road in Kentucky. By the time agents arrived, they found a makeshift lot littered with burned tires and an empty metal cage bolted to a trailer floor, spray painted across the back wall. "Keep driving!" Hartley knew then that the killer, or whoever carried the name, was treating the entire interstate network as his hunting ground. Every forgotten exit, every shuttered rest stop, a waypoint. He told Quinn, he doesn't live on the road, he is the road. But before they could track another transmission, the case took a darker turn. In January 2011, a package arrived at Quantico, addressed to Agent Hartley. No postage, hand-delivered somehow into internal mail. Inside was a single Polaroid of Hartley himself, taken from outside his motel window, asleep at his desk. On the back, Mile Zero never ended. That night, he packed his things and left Jefferson City without telling anyone. 2 weeks later, his rental car was found abandoned at a rest stop outside St. Louis. No signs of struggle. Only his FBI badge lying on the dashboard, and scrawled into the dust on the driver's side window in finger streaks, "Ask the Mirror." The official report listed Agent Hartley as missing, presumed dead. The Bureau sealed Project Nighthall once again. But Agent Quinn never stopped looking. In 2014, she received a late-night call from an unlisted number. The voice was distorted, filtered through static, but she swore it sounded like Hartley. "He's still out there," the voice said. "The road's not done." Then silence. The call traced back to a payphone off I-55, decommissioned years before. By 2015, local police departments across 5 states began logging similar abduction attempts along the old corridor, always targeting women traveling alone, always near those ghost interchanges. The Bureau denied any connection, but Quinn kept one photo on her desk. Samantha Raines, 1997, smiling outside the diner. Some nights, she wondered if Samantha was still alive, somewhere on that unfinished road, part of a cycle that never really stopped. Because even now, truckers still talk about the black rig with mismatched doors that appears in their mirrors before dawn, riding close, then vanishing without a trace. They call it the 47. The night agent Marissa Quinn returned to the St. Louis field office after the discovery of Hartley's car. Rain hammered the glass so hard, it blurred the city lights into a smear of red and white. She sat in the empty conference room, replaying the motel surveillance footage, frame by frame, the hum of the projector filling the silence. Each frame of the black truck felt like an echo from a nightmare she'd inherited rather than solved. What haunted her most wasn't the image. It was the dust on the window where someone had written, "Ask the Mirror." The phrase appeared again 2 weeks later, mailed on a torn fuel receipt. And then again, scrawled into the grime of a truck stop bathroom mirror off I-70. Quinn began to suspect the killer was watching the investigation itself, mimicking its movements, responding to its pressure. She filed a formal request for a full behavioral review, but Washington turned her down. Budget season, not enough proof, they said. So she did what Hartley once did, went off book. Her first stop was the Port Arcadia Corporate Archive in Baton Rouge. The office had long since closed, but the files, tens of thousands of shipping manifests, were stored in a state warehouse. She spent 2 nights reading through them under fluorescent light, searching for any recurring driver code or pattern of deliveries that crossed the old proposed I-47 corridor. One name surfaced again and again between 1992 and 1998. F. Rowe, driver number 19, assigned to overnight hauls that always ended within 20 miles of later crime scenes. But next to his signature on several manifests was a second set of initials, D.H. Hartley's. Her pulse tightened. She cross-checked the handwriting, almost identical. When she reached the last manifest, dated 3 days after Hartley's disappearance, the initials appeared again. Not D.H., but H.D. reversed. And next to it, a printed note stapled to the margin. "The road keeps him alive." Forensics confirmed the paper came from the same batch as the earlier Port Arcadia files. It meant someone had access to the old corporate records and was planting messages inside government storage. Quinn requested security footage from the warehouse. At 1:43 a.m., the night before her visit, a man in a reflective vest walked past the cameras carrying a box labeled Fleet Archives. He never looked up, and his badge ID was later found to be counterfeit. When they froze the frame, the reflection in the glass door showed a second figure standing behind him, partially obscured, but the outline of the face looked disturbingly like Hartley's. 2 months later, early 2016, a trucker named Tom Reeves called 911 from a rest stop outside Paducah, Kentucky. He claimed a man had flagged him down on the shoulder, saying his rig had broken down. The man offered him $100 to drive one exit north and pick up a passenger. When Reeves refused, the man smiled and said, "You already have." Reeves drove straight to the nearest patrol post. Troopers found the described truck idling in the woods. No driver, no keys. In the passenger seat, a VHS tape in a padded envelope marked, "For Marissa Q." The tape opened on static, then a close-up of a cracked motel mirror. Behind the reflection, a hand holding a photo. Hartley, asleep at his desk. A voice off camera said, calm, deliberate, "You followed the wrong road. Now it follows you." The screen went black. Then, one frame before the tape ended, a flash of coordinates scrolled across the bottom corner. 36.239, 9.287. A GPS lookup placed the location near a decommissioned bridge crossing the Mississippi River, an unfinished spur once intended to connect to the never-built I-47. The team reached the site at dawn. Heavy mist rolled off the water, swallowing the trestle. Beneath the bridge, they found the remains of a temporary encampment. Propane cans, discarded gloves, and a single metal chair bolted into the concrete. Chains hung from the railing above, freshly cut. At the foot of the chair was a small plastic badge. D. Hartley, Consultant, FBI. No blood, no fingerprints. Just the badge and an envelope sealed with wax. Inside, a Polaroid, a mirror reflecting the riverbank, and on its surface, the faint outline of a man's shadow. Broad, shoulders, gloves, camera raised. Over the next year, bodies began to appear again along the interstate system. 3 in Missouri, 1 in Tennessee, 2 in Texas. Each bore the mark I-47 on the wrist. The killer's return drew national attention this time. Cable networks dubbed him the Highway Phantom. The FBI reactivated the old task force, putting Quinn in charge. She worked 20-hour days, building a timeline of every incident. One evening, while reviewing toll booth footage from Oklahoma, she froze on a frame showing a black truck passing through an EZ Pass lane. The driver wore mirrored sunglasses, but when she enhanced the plate, her stomach turned. It was a government plate from the Bureau's own motor pool. Records showed the vehicle signed out 6 months earlier by none other than Daniel Hartley. The possibility hit her like cold water. Either Hartley was alive and involved, or someone inside the Bureau was using his identity to move unnoticed. She traced the card activity. Fuel stops charged to an old federal travel account linked to Project Nighthall. The charges formed a perfect map of the original I-47 corridor. In a late-night meeting with her assistant, she spread the receipts across the table. "He's driving the ghost highway," she whispered, "and we've been feeding him the gas." In October 2000, Quinn went to the last charge point, an abandoned truck plaza near Blytheville, Arkansas. The power was long cut, the signage faded. Inside, dust coated everything except one thing: a mirror mounted above the sinks. On it, someone had written with their finger, "Mile 0 is home." Behind the mirror, taped to the drywall, was a small digital recorder. When she pressed play, Hartley's voice filled the room. "Marissa, if you hear this, he's not what we thought. The road was built, just not on maps. It runs under us, in the routes, the stations, the places we forget. He's using our systems to move bodies. Don't come looking." A clang echoed on the tape, metal striking metal. Then, silence. For a long time, she stood there listening to the static, rain tapping the roof. Then she saw it, her own reflection shaking in the mirror, and behind her, faint, a pair of headlights rolling past outside. The Bureau pulled her off the case within weeks, citing psychological exhaustion. She was transferred to the Denver field office, but she couldn't let it go. In 2018, she took a leave of absence and began traveling the corridor alone, stopping at forgotten exits and filming interviews with truckers who swore they'd seen the black rig. She compiled hundreds of hours of footage, each account eerily similar. A truck appearing only in mirrors, never on radar, always accompanied by the smell of motor oil and bleach. Some said the driver talked through CB as 47. Others said there was no driver at all. That winter, Quinn visited the last known coordinate from Hartley's tape, marker 19 off Highway 82, near a flooded stretch of forest where the original I-47 survey once ran. She parked her rental at dusk and walked in carrying only a flashlight and her recorder. The mud swallowed her steps. The deeper she went, the quieter the world became. No birds, no wind, only the low hum of something metallic far off. She followed it until the beam of her light struck corrugated steel, an old freight trailer half buried in the earth. On its side, faint under rust, were stenciled words: Port Arcadia Logistics, Unit 47. The doors were chained, but not locked. When she pulled them open, the smell hit her. Diesel and rot. Inside hung dozens of mirrors nailed to the walls, each reflecting her from a different angle. And in the center, a folding chair facing a camera tripod. On the floor lay another Polaroid, still developing. Her hand shook as she turned it over. It showed her standing in that very spot, flashlight raised, eyes wide. Photo taken seconds before she picked it up. She ran. Through the trees, through the mud, until the forest opened onto the shoulder of the interstate. Headlights streaked by, horn blasts cutting the night. She collapsed in the grass, trembling, recorder still running. The tape ended with her voice whispering, "He's not chasing us. We're driving his road." 3 days later, a state trooper found her rental car abandoned at a rest area 20 miles north. Inside were her camera and field notes. Of Marissa Quinn herself, no sign. Her final entry, scrawled across the last page of her notebook, read, "Mile 47 complete. Beginning again." The Bureau closed Project Night Hall for the third and final time. Officially, the file was archived as unsolved serial homicides, probable deceased offender. Unofficially, truckers say that every few years, when the fog is low and the asphalt steams, they still hear a voice on CB Channel 19. Calm, measured, almost bureaucratic, calling out coordinates no one recognizes. "This is 47. Mile 0 secured. Keep driving." And somewhere along a back road between Kansas and Missouri, a black truck with mismatched doors drifts out of the dark, headlights dimmed, mirrors catching the faintest reflection of whoever dares to look. The morning mist was thick over the Ozarks when a county road crew found it again. An overturned semi, black cab. No license plates. Its trailer twisted like a crushed can at the bottom of a ravine. It was late April 2021, 4 years after Agent Marissa Quinn had vanished. The sheriff's report said the truck must have gone off the service road sometime during the night, skidding through the guardrail before flipping twice. But there was something wrong with the scene. The engine was still warm. No driver. No footprints leading away from the wreck. No drag marks. Just the faint smell of bleach and motor oil in the air, and a small hand mirror lying face down in the mud. When a deputy turned it over, written across the back in black ink were 3 words: Mile 0 restored. The Bureau dispatched a small team within hours. Among them was Special Agent Ray Delgado, a methodical investigator from Quantico who'd spent his early career studying unsolved interstate homicides. The Interstate 47 case was already legend among the older agents, something whispered about, not logged. Delgado had read everything he could find, though half the files were redacted or missing entirely. He arrived at the ravine at dawn. The mist was still there, rolling in sheets across the asphalt. The truck's cab was mangled beyond repair, its windows shattered. But what caught his attention wasn't the damage. It was the inside of the trailer. Lining the interior walls, taped in neat rows, were dozens of photographs. Victims, rest stops, highway mile markers. Some old, some recent. And in the center, illuminated by a shaft of morning light through the torn roof, a single Polaroid pinned to the metal wall with a rusted knife. It showed Agent Marissa Quinn standing in front of the Port Arcadia trailer, the same photo she had supposedly found before disappearing. At the bottom edge, scrawled in fresh marker, "The mirror neverless." Delgado stepped back, uneasy. The mud squelched under his boots, the air humming faintly with the drone of flies. He called the techs to begin a full forensic sweep, but before they arrived, he noticed something else. Tiny reflective shards scattered across the floor, glittering like glass dust. He knelt, brushed a few into a collection vial, and noticed their edges weren't jagged. They were smooth, rounded, mirror fragments, polished, almost deliberate. Whoever had been here last had broken every reflective surface inside the cab, and then arranged the fragments around the driver's seat in a perfect circle, as though closing a ritual. 2 days later, the lab sent word. The truck's VIN number traced back to an impound lot in Louisiana. It had been listed as destroyed in 2003, the same year the Port Arcadia company folded. The VTN plate itself had been reattached with industrial epoxy. DNA testing found partial prints on the steering wheel. 2 profiles, both inconclusive. One appeared to match Daniel Hartley's last known record. The other was a partial female profile, too degraded for identification. The Bureau quietly reopened the investigation under a new name. Interstate File 19. Delgado was put in charge. He started by re-examining every map, every mileage log, every rest area where victims had been found. He overlaid the routes on digital terrain software. When the data compiled, a single pattern emerged. The killings didn't just trace an invisible highway. They outlined a shape. The rough perimeter of a corridor that curved through the Midwest and looped back toward Louisiana. A perfect oval, almost like the circuit of a closed system. Every new crime scene, every found photo, every body formed another point on that looping route. Hartley's original phrase echoed in his mind. The road keeps him alive. What if the killer wasn't traveling aimlessly at all? What if he was maintaining something? A path, a circle, a cycle? Delgado followed the data south. In late May, he stopped at a derelict gas station outside Pine Bluff. It had been closed for over a decade. The pumps stripped, the windows boarded. Locals said truckers still pulled in sometimes at night, leaving tire marks in the dirt before disappearing down the service road behind it. He broke the padlock and stepped inside. The air was thick with dust and diesel. On the far wall, he found a map pinned with truck stops and handwritten notes. In the corner of the map, one word: mirror line. Next to it, a Polaroid, Marissa Quinn again, but this time her face blurred, streaked by motion. He turned it over. On the back, scrawled in smeared pen, "He drives for both of us now." For months, Delgado chased leads across the heartland, abandoned rest stops, scrap yards, forgotten stretches of asphalt where the ghosts of highways lingered. In every place, he found the same clues: tire tracks too deep for modern rigs, fragments of mirrors, and Polaroids still developing in the sun. In one truck stop diner, an old mechanic told him something strange. "You know that corridor out by Joplin?" the man said, lowering his voice. "Every few years, a black semi comes through right after midnight. Folks say the driver waves if you look in the mirror, but if you look too long, you see someone else behind him. A woman." Delgado's fork froze halfway to his mouth. He asked what the woman looked like. The mechanic shrugged. "Can't say. Only one trucker ever saw her clear, and he quit the road after. Said she was wearing an FBI jacket." That same month, an internal bureau message appeared in the secure network, a blank file with a single audio clip attached. The voice was unmistakable. Hartley. "Mile 0 complete. Mirror line closed. Do not follow." The digital signature traced back to an inactive bureau server, one that had been decommissioned in 2011, the year Hartley disappeared. The timestamp read 4:17 a.m., same morning the truck was found. Delgado couldn't sleep after that. In October, an Arkansas state trooper spotted another black semi heading west along Highway 82. It matched the original description: mismatched doors, no plates, silent engine. The trooper followed from a distance, calling for backup. The truck turned off suddenly down an unmarked road and vanished into the trees. They found the trooper's cruiser abandoned hours later, headlights still on, dash cam running. The footage showed the trooper stepping out, gun drawn, approaching the truck's cab. The door opened slightly, and then the camera glitched, the image freezing on a white flare. When the feed resumed, the truck was gone. The trooper's voice came through the radio once, faint, terrified. "It's not him anymore." Then, static. Delgado drove to that same spot days later. He stood there as dusk fell, the highway humming faintly with faraway traffic. In the quiet, he caught his own reflection in the side mirror of a derelict rig parked nearby, and for a heartbeat, he swore he saw movement behind him. When he turned, there was nothing. Just the empty road and a black semi idling 50 yards away, lights off, engine murmuring low. He approached slowly, hand on his holster. "This is Agent Ray Delgado, FBI," he called. "Step out of the vehicle." The driver's door creaked open. A man stepped down. Tall, broad-shouldered, face hidden behind mirrored sunglasses. The man tilted his head slightly, as though studying Delgado. Then he smiled, a small, mechanical twitch. "You finally caught up," he said softly. The voice was unmistakable. Hartley's. Delgado raised his weapon. "You're under arrest. On your knees, now." But the man only took a step forward, calm, almost curious. "We built it together," he murmured. "You just didn't see the road under your feet." The sound of engines began to rise, not from one truck, but many. From the forest, from the fields, from the roads beyond. Headlights flickered to life one by one, forming a ring of ghostly white. Delgado spun, heart hammering. The air smelled of exhaust and iron. When he turned back, Hartley, or the thing wearing his voice, was gone. In his place, on the asphalt, lay a single Polaroid. It showed Delgado standing in that exact spot, gun raised, surrounded by trucks. The caption at the bottom read, "Mile Zero never ends." The Bureau never found Agent Delgado. His car was discovered 3 days later at a rest stop near the Missouri border, engine still running. Inside the glove box, a recorder. On the tape, his final words. "If anyone hears this, Interstate 47 was never built because it didn't have to be. It's every forgotten mile, every lost road. He doesn't drive it. We all do. The line never stops. Keep your mirrors covered." Then, faintly, another voice. Hartley's again, overlapping. "Keep driving." Static swallowed the rest. Today, truckers still tell the story across CB channels between Missouri, Arkansas, and Kansas. They talk about the black rig that appears in rearview mirrors when the night is clear and the highway's empty. Some say if you flash your high beams twice, you'll see 2 figures in the cab, a man behind the wheel and a woman beside him, staring straight ahead. The Bureau still lists the Interstate killer as unknown. The file remains active under restricted clearance. Every year, on the anniversary of the first abduction, an unmarked envelope arrives at the FBI's St. Louis field office. Inside, a photograph of a road at dawn, no vehicles in sight. On the back, 3 words, "Mile Zero restored." And beneath it, faintly pressed into the paper, the imprint of a handcuff ring. If you liked this story, please subscribe to the channel for more true crime mysteries.